Good morning and welcome to Viewpoint, your program of personalities, politicians, and perspectives. Sitting to my right side here is Mr. Loyd Kirby, who's now our new co-host here on Viewpoint. This morning we have a very, very special guest, and I'm going to ask Mr. Kirby to introduce our guest this morning because she's a very busy lady and has given us her time and talent to come and visit with us. So go ahead, Mr. Kirby, introduce our guest this morning, if you will.
She's more enamored with Mabel the cat than she is us, I think, but that's okay. I can understand that. Not a stranger to local folks, and recently named the Freshman of the Year, State Senator Sally Turner is joining us in studio today. So thank you for joining us.
Freshman of the Year. Let's just hit on that just a minute, Mr. Kirby. Sally, that's a significant honor. Freshman Legislator of the Year with the Illinois State Chamber of Commerce. Mm-hmm. That's a big deal, my dear.
Yeah, well, we have a lot of small businesses in our community. First of all, thanks for having me. Been here a lot of times over the last probably 35 years. Whether it be by county clerk or now in this new Senate role. So anyway, thanks for having me. And yes, I was paying attention to Mabel because she was coming in. Her foot was under the door.
Mabel will come in and out as we converse this morning.
Yeah, well, I was a little afraid of the skunks you said that were out here. But anyway, back to what you mentioned. Yeah, it was quite an honor, and I appreciate them recognizing the way I cast my votes, which pay attention to small business. And as you know, here in Logan County, that's really, really important. We've seen a lot of changes here. A lot of things go away, our colleges and some problems there, but, you know, our businesses, we need to keep going strong.
Well, listeners, I'd like to make a comment. You know, we get a little disturbed with our politicians when they gerrymander districts. And inevitably they do that for some party's favor. As it turned out, we lost an outstanding senator, and we regained a really outstanding senator when Larry Bumpke retired. The reason he retired is they gerrymandered his district, had him going clear over to Quincy, Illinois, for goodness sakes. And he said, I've had enough of that. And he retired. And somebody in their infinite wisdom, and I meant that, besides Mrs. Turner, she served us so well at the courthouse. So, by golly, here we have her appointed and now elected as our state senator. And I think that's a big deal. And so gerrymandering in this case paid off for Logan County.
Yeah, absolutely. And our new district goes from, we have Olive Morton still, which is great. It's a great community. We go all the way over east to Monticello. And then south we pick up, there's about 4 precincts in Sangamon County, which is just the northern part, Illiopolis, Mechanicsburg, right in that area. And then we come up all the way up the line of Logan, and we have half of Mason there at St. Joe's. Then we go all the way back up to Tazewell. However, it cuts over to the east a little bit and has a very small amount of Woodford County. When I say very small amount, I believe it's 1 precinct. And then cuts all the way over to McLean. It has all of rural McLean. We go around Bloomington, have a little bit of the south side of Bloomington and a little bit of the east side of Bloomington, where it's the airport, on the east side of the airport. And then we also have a tiny 3 precincts, I think, in Livingston County.
Grew up near Pontiac.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, it's close to Fairbury, but in that area. And then all of DeWitt County. So all of DeWitt and all of Piatt. So we have this swath of central Illinois, which is great. However, with gerrymandering, one bad thing that happened to us is we lost our state representative, Tim Butler.
Yes. Yeah.
And Tim and I have known each other for years and worked well together for years. Losing him, it's just, he's known this area and everyone's been familiar with him for so long. Yeah,
he's old shoe. You know.
Yeah, yeah, and he's in leadership and he's very helpful. But we're gaining a new representative, which is wonderful, Dr. Hodder, and looking forward to working with him too.
I think he's going to work real well. He's so enthusiastic about the potential, about going to work. He was delighted to do well in Logan County and appreciates the help that Logan County gave him. I think he'll turn out to be a good, but it's pretty hard to give up somebody that you've known and felt so comfortable with, like Tim Butler.
Right, absolutely.
Who down through the years has served us very, very well in this community. We've had a history. We had Rich Brower before Tim, another outstanding representative for us that was aware of what's going on here in Lincoln-Logan County. Do you hear from your constituents much, Mrs. Turner?
Yeah, we do. As you know, our district office is in Lincoln. And then we do traveling office hours as well. So throughout our district, we'll do coffees and conversations or just set district hours in libraries throughout our district. But we do. Most of our questions seem to be about unemployment. Having problems navigating that system. There's some Department of Corrections questions about maybe a loved one that's in DOC and having problems there. But just mainly state questions. We have, back when Lincoln College closed, of course, we had many questions about that. But since it's a private entity, we didn't have any control of any of that. Same Lincoln
and
Christian.
a little advice or a little help, but other than that, that's all you can do.
Right, absolutely. So yeah, of course, we have a constant contact with our constituents.
You recently sent out a questionnaire, and I just wondered, did you get much response from that?
We're starting to get those back in the mail. However, as you know, people like to save their 55-cent stamp. I think it's 55 cents now, isn't it? 58. There you go. Who knows? I just buy the forever ones, so I don't know what the price is
Whenever
anymore.
the time comes, yeah.
Yeah, but they recently started on our website that you could do it online. So you could make that reply online. So we don't have all those results back, but that's a good outreach to people so that they can tell us what's going on and what's important to them. Because if we don't hear from everyone, we don't know what they're feeling or what their feelings are on legislation or just things that are going on today. We're not going to have any special session, it doesn't look like. For probably many reasons, but one reason is we have no place to meet right now. The north side of the Capitol is being renovated, so we don't have access to the chambers in the Senate. So they're going to put us, I believe it's in the Hallett building for us to meet, and that's not ready for us either. So hopefully it'll be ready for us in November, otherwise I don't know where we're going.
Well, Loyd,
Yeah.
Johnny Appleseed here, Loyd, thinks that there's no damn reason to have special session. They ought to stay there and get their work done. Now, that's an old geezer's opinion. Are there any really valid reasons, Senator Turner, for them to consider a special session? I mean, are they not getting the job done, or what?
Well, you know as well as I do that the less that we make laws, the better, because
Amen.
That is the scary thing when we're there for special session, because what are they going to do? I'm in the super minority, so it worries me because we never know what these things are that they're thinking about that they want to bring up in session.
Okay.
So that makes it a little frightening. So I think it was after the shooting in Northern Illinois that they were thinking about having a special session on guns. And then, of course, after the decision the Supreme Court decision that changed Roe v. Wade, they were thinking about having a special session in regard to abortion and the rights of individuals and other individuals that don't live in our state to come over and use our resources. So I don't think that looks like that's going to happen. So that's a good thing.
Yeah. Even if there isn't a special session, though, you've got plenty to do. It sounds like you were telling us you were in East Moline yesterday.
Yeah. As you know, we're farmers, Central Illinois. We all farm, and my family farms as well. We went to the harvester plant in East Moline. It was just a few senators, I think there was 13 of us total, and a few representatives, and we got to see all the new S-Series of the combines. So that's where they make all the combines and ship them out all over the world, which is pretty cool. It was interesting. We were asking, do you have any problems with logistics and getting the things that you need? Yeah, there was. I can't tell you how many combines were sitting out there in the lot waiting for tires.
waiting for tires.
Tires.
They're ready to go except for the tires.
Just
Isn't
supply
that
chain
interesting?
issue kind of thing?
Yep.
or-
Yeah. And then they were a little nervous about maybe, I think there's been talk about Bridgestone maybe striking, so that made them even more nervous. So anyway, it was interesting. It was a huge facility. I think they said it was 71 acres. So they took us on a little tour around there so we could see what all they make. And these are $500,000 machines.
Oh, yeah. Just
So-
think of that now. And you think of some young man that wants to get into farming,
Yeah.
and unless he has family backing somewhere along the line, it's almost impossible to think about.
You're exactly
Senator
right.
Turner, we have Joseph and Josephine Smith out there in the air, and they may not be aware of how sophisticated these combines are. We were visiting off here, and you riding with your son. You might describe the GPA that they have on those combines, so a guy could read a book if he wants to.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, if he read a book riding in his tractor or riding in his combine, that's one thing. But the whole time he's reading his book, bells and whistles are going off. How much is coming through? What the
Moisture content is. And
well, yeah, the excess of how much grain is going into their bins, how much of the excess, the cobs and all that is going out. I mean, they're constantly having to watch to make sure that everything is going the way it needs to go. It's not your old 4-row corn picker anymore. I mean, it has changed immensely. And although there's some automation in regard to going back and forth in the field, it's all about, getting the best product and getting the best yield that you can and watching the whole time. So it's amazing.
Loyd is a far cry from when little Billy was put on the farm and worked for his grandfather. And I got promoted one day to take a wagon, go to wheat to the elevator, which was a mile. And got the horses in. We got unloaded, and when a horse is going to go home, they're going to go home. Unless you control them, they're going to trot home. Anyway, I let these horses go. And by the time I turned down that mile-long lane, these horses were all lathered in saddle soap and sweat and everything. My grandfather took one look at his horses, and boy, he larped me with it. He was very unhappy with his grandson.
Where did you take your wheat?
To Burtonview. It was a mile north of the farm was a mile north of Burtonview. Wow. And in those days, you talk about sophistication. The big wagons had big wooden hubs, and they just drooped a loop over the front hubs and lifted the wagon that way and let the grain drive out by gravity into the pit below.
Wow.
Sophisticated days.
Was the wagon all wood?
I'm sorry?
Was it all wood? Wooden?
Yeah. Oh, yes. My goodness, except for the metal wheels where they were all put together. But the wheels were wood, too, but metal was just in there. But the great big, they must have been 6-inch hubs or better. And they do this loop over there, and then on each wheel, they lifted it up and let it drain out right through the back end by gravity.
Wow.
That's the way it was unloaded.
That's pretty cool.
So, your term, Senator, is tell us when. Are you up for November?
I am. Yes. So I was appointed to succeed Senator Brady, who retired.
Yes.
And I was appointed in January of
Bill Brady.
21.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so I've served a year and a half, and now I'm running for election, and I ran in the primary, of course. So won that in March. No, wasn't March. When we'd have our primary this year. Was it March? We had
Is it June?
June primary. Yeah. Sorry. I'm so used to being clerk and saying a March primary. However, we did have one February primary when I was clerk. And then in November on the 8th, we'll have the general election.
Your Logan, you mentioned being clerk. Your Logan County clerk successor to you.
Teresa Moore. She's fantastic.
Still continuing to give the same service that Sally Turner turned out. We just get, as a matter of fact, all those offices up there, ladies and gentlemen out there in the listening area, both of you, pay attention now. But seriously, we have a bunch of good county employees.
We sure do. We are blessed to have them.
We really
They work hard. And they have to go back and have continuing education for themselves to know all these laws and know where to look up the laws and know what the laws are to implement those things. It's just not, you just can't walk in the door and become the clerk or the circuit clerk. These people work hard and study hard, and then they discuss things with their other clerks or recorders in the districts to know what they're doing too. So it's a wonderful thing that we have these kind of people.
But when
in
Josephine or
positions.
Joe Smith walk into any of those offices, they're going to be received by somebody who has a pleasant attitude.
Yeah.
And they're not only willing, but they're eager to give you the assistance that you're looking for. So we've got a good office to office up there in the county
We sure
building.
do. They do a great job.
Yeah. I bet you're glad you're not worried about that roof now. They don't.
No, yeah. Yeah. I kept telling Teresa, though, during the COVID, I kept going, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry I left you with this. But wow, that was tough to run an election through COVID, and she did a fantastic job.
Senator Turner, do you have anybody call you or get in contact with you by email that's got some nutty idea for some law that they'd like to see passed? Did you ever have that happen?
We have some nutty calls about, we were just talking about COVID, about here's how you combat COVID, mouthwash and those type of things. We get those kind of interesting calls, but not really nutty calls. Actually, they're important calls that give us ideas that maybe these are some things that need to change that affect other people's lives, everyday lives, that maybe are good ideas. I mean, in regard to maybe teaching shortage or nurse shortage or someone that is employed in those areas, that they say, these are the things that we see that would be helpful to us.
Speaking of being helpful, this program is being helped by some sponsors, some nice people out there, and we'll defer to them right now. Go ahead, Mr. Rash. And right back live in the studios here this morning. Viewpoint, of course, is the program. Our associate here is Mr. Loyd Kirby, and our guest this morning is Senator Sally Turner. And I want to tell you, ladies and gentlemen out there, I guess there's a gentleman listening to us out there. We assume that. Seriously, I make a little fun up here once in a while, but seriously, we're very lucky to have a young lady that serves us as our state senator, dedicated, smart, and eager to do a job for you. So, by the way, the election's coming up, and that could be a request for maybe a buck or two. Where would they send that? To your district office?
Am I on state time or campaign time? I have to be careful. No, never. Nothing ever campaign to a district office. There's I have a website for the campaign part.
Well, it's wise. You know, it takes not a little money. It takes a lot of money to run for state office. You have to run for dog catcher. It takes a lot of money, for goodness sakes. So
sure.
Let's kind of remember that we've got a young lady here who's doing a great job representing us. So if you got an extra buck or two, Senator Sally Turner would be happy to hear from you. Go ahead, go right ahead, sir.
Well, we were talking before the break about do you get any suggestions or input from your constituents? One thing I've noticed since you've been in office is you've been very proactive as far as responding to things in the community. And one of the things I noticed in putting our community calendar together, as an example of that, was the baby formula shortage and the baby formula drive that you held at your office. So how did that sort of evolve and come into being, and how successful was it?
We didn't have a great amount of success, but we were able to connect people, which was good throughout the district, like who had formula, where they could go. That shortage was really scary. I had moms at my church that were foster moms that were considering going back and relactating so that they could feed a foster baby. And
oh my!
I know. How about that? I mean, that was what a passionate thing to do for a little one that you're caring for.
Yeah.
So it was a really scary time. So we reached out to people to say, hey, if you have any unused, unexpired baby formula, drop it by our office, and we did a drop of whatever we collected. Those are just small things that we can do when we see that there's something urgent that's happening in our communities. We promote CIBC, our veterans, as much as we possibly can. Outreach to our small homes, the things that they do there. They do such a good job. Just recently I was on, excuse me, at the state fair, and we did Chopped. I don't know if you're familiar with Chopped on the Food Network.
No.
Where you get a basket of food and you have to make something.
Well, that would draw my attention.
It was actually fun. So at the state fair, I competed against Representative Sandy Hamilton, and my district chief of staff, Renee Martin, was my sous chef. So we had 30 minutes to make food. And so the surprise food was pork, 2 peaches, an ear of corn, and then we had some staples, and some herbs, and some staples that we could use. The outside was a grill that we only could use a grill. It was actually really hard, and just a couple pots and pans, so we had to do all this stuff in 30 minutes. Anyway, I made pork loin with the Dijon mustard sauce and a peach cobbler without the cobbler because I didn't have enough time to bake it. Anyway, we won. Yay, Renee and I won. But the winnings went to, it was a $250 to your favorite charity, and it went back to CIBC. That's where we did it. So we try and promote the Central Illinois veterans as much as we possibly can, too, because they do a great job.
Which brings me to the rumor, always a persistent rumor in Logan County about the Lincoln Developmental Center, which we used to call in the old days State School and Colony. Can you imagine that terminology? We called them inmates, for God's sakes, where we've come. Anyway, a lot of talk about the possibility. Do you have any comments about the Developmental Center?
Sure, yeah. When I first started about a year and a half ago, I guess it's been, they came to us, actually, Joe Shaler and the CIBC folks and Dan Benedict, we were all working hard to try and get those houses that were out there for our veterans. And we were actually thinking that maybe it was going to happen. That was going to happen. Then all of a sudden we got notice from the Illinois Juvenile Justice Center that said, guess what? We're taking that over, and we're going to make that a Juvenile Justice Center. And I know they talked to the city of Lincoln, and they got all those zoning issues worked out. But since then, I understand from CMS that it's out of CMS's hands, and it's all lies in juvenile justice hands. What they're doing right now, I have no idea. They don't call us and talk to us about we're getting ready to start or anything like that. Last I had thought that it was supposed to start in June, their construction, but I haven't heard anything. So that's where we are.
And the state in its infinite wisdom built these 4 homes out there, and I think Justice Turner is
an administration one, right?
And so, what are the plans for those homes? Do you have any idea, Senator?
Yeah, they want that whole area all the way over to the administration building, including those small little homes as well. We had asked, okay, fine, you want the Juvenile Justice Center to go there. We'd like to have those small homes to put our veterans in. Nope, they want them all. So we got, turned down on that issue. So what exactly they're going to do with all of that, I don't know. I mean, we have a hard enough time keeping them grass.
Let the rumors fly. When something happens, it'll happen, and we'll know it.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. I assumed that they'd let the city know first because of the zoning issues. They talked, I guess, about closing a road off there. So I think they'll need to let the city know the soonest.
Well, you know what they say about the word assume, so we won't go there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Senator Turner, when you send out your questionnaires and so forth, and there's always a question at the would you like to receive emails from me? Do you get much response to that question?
We email newsletters as well.
Yes.
So yes, we have a lot of people on our newsletter by email, and they like to receive that. We're just trying to tell them what's going on. It's easier to connect with people when they know what's going on in the world around them. And, you know, sometimes things happen in the legislature and that affect them. They're like, I didn't know that, or when did that happen? Those types of things.
Go ahead, Mr. Kirby.
I was going to say, speaking of things happening in the legislature, one of the subjects, I guess, that you kind of tackled was with the DCFS crisis, and you sponsored a bill to help those workers. Can you kind of tell us about what happened there and what the legislation you proposed was, and how that's impacting things?
As you know, we had a young woman that passed away when she was an investigator, and the DCFS workers that go out to do those investigations don't have any type of protection, and their rules in DCFS didn't allow them to have any kind of taser or carry a gun or anything like that if something would occur. So one of the bills that we did was to allow them to have a taser, but they needed to be properly trained for that. Just recently, matter of fact, I think it was a couple of days ago, University of Illinois Springfield suggested that DCFS workers, new workers, be able to I believe it was a 4-week training course, and DCFS only wanted to give their workers a 1-week training course. And so UIS said, sorry, we're not going to offer it to you yet. You either take our 4-week training course or we're not going to offer it. And I guess it was nationally known, their training course was. So we need to be able to make sure that our people that are going out to protect children and families can protect themselves. And that's
yes,
really
you know, for the benefit of our listeners, DCFS means Department of Children and Family Services. And I have a young friend, a mutual friend. She is, I don't know her category of her position, but she goes into homes at night. And some of this could be very dangerous situations, and you're working with people who are mentally straight and they have no idea, no cognizance of all what they're doing. And her job is dangerous.
Absolutely, it's dangerous. Yeah, they need to be able to protect themselves.
She works long hours. I mean, it's nothing for her to get a call at 2 a.m. I've got this baby so-and-so, and she has to get out and go to that house and do whatever she has to do.
Yeah, and you know that situation can't be good if you're going to take a baby from a home that doesn't need to have a baby. So, yeah. We're working on some other legislation too. One of the other bills that I have that I recently filed that it has a number, but it hasn't been gone through the whole process yet. It'll be in the new session, but it's about fentanyl. And I don't know, you've all heard on the news that there's so much lacing of fentanyl on top of different drugs and things, and that if a drug pusher has laced their drug, whatever it is, whether it's a sleeping pill or whatever that they're pushing or selling out there, laced it with fentanyl, then that is a separate crime, and it's a crime that they could be convicted of. So I think that's really important in this world of fentanyl that we have going on right now, because it's affecting, I just heard some statistics the other day about it was the number one killer of young people 18 to 40 years old. Now that's ridiculous. So, and now we have a bill, I guess I'm trying to think when that was. That must have been the last legislative session. There's test strips for fentanyl at your local pharmacy that anybody can have. They're free. If you wanted to go in and get a test strip to test your drugs for fentanyl, you can. So there's no excuse for having fentanyl on something that even a drug dealer is selling, so they can test their drugs.
648-5510. This, ladies and gentlemen, this is your chance to have a visit with your state senator, Senator Sally Turner, for whom I have great respect and have had down through the years. And she was smart enough to marry a very, very nice gentleman, Justice John Turner, a local boy. He's an Atlanta boy, James. And take advantage of Senator Turner's offer to be here and visit with us and tell you what's going on down in Springfield, some of which she has no idea at all.
That's sad, isn't it? Yeah.
Go ahead, Mr. Kirby.
Well, I was doing a little research before the show, and I saw your name came up when I searched about how people speak in Illinois.
Oh, yeah.
I was going to comment, you're doing very well on the radio here. I haven't noticed a very bad accent or anything.
That's so funny you say that. So you remember Nancy Mclarty?
Yes.
That was a court reporter for Judge Daner and Judge Coogan in the courthouse.
Yeah.
She married Bill Flick. And so Bill Flick's a columnist.
Who's a great columnist. By the way,
Yes,
he's a
in
good
the
writer.
Telegraph. Yeah, he is.
He's
He does a
good
great
writer.
job. So it just so happened when they got married, I married them. I did the ceremony.
as a clerk.
Yeah. And then John stood up with Bill. So, long story about them. We've been friends forever. But I'd seen this article that came out in that Chicago magazine, and I read it, and I was furious. I sent it to Bill, because he's always looking for stuff. And I said, this just was downright mean.
For the listeners who may not know, what was the material in the article, or what did it talk about?
Oh, it was about how we speak throughout Illinois, but in central and southern Illinois, we basically how we say the word Washington, which I say Washington, and the different way we say our words.
Right, the different dialects and things.
But it made it sound like that we were just dumb if you were south of I-80. It just made me mad the way that article reflected who we are as people. But it was cool because Bill's article went on to say about, we had Jimmy Carter. He was a president, and he had a true Southern accent. And then Abraham Lincoln, what kind of accent did he have? So we're all different. We all speak in different tones and tenets, and we have different cultures. And I appreciate the way everyone speaks. I know my son has a draw, and I raised him. So
where'd that come from?
Yeah. So it's just where you live. You've been around the world. In Spain, in northern Spain, they speak totally different than they do in southern Spain. They use a lisp. They have a lisp in southern Spain. In Granada, they end it with a th when they speak. Had something
they draw it out a little.
Yeah, and it had something to do with whoever governed them at one point in time had a lisp, and that's why they use that. So everybody's different,
right.
And not that their intellect is any different. It's just because we speak differently throughout our great state, which is huge, and we butt up against different areas like Kentucky and Missouri.
Oh. Yeah. We mentioned Bill Flick as being a good writer, and that he is. John's associate Justice Jim Connect writes well. He writes about his experiences with his grandchildren, how lucky they are too. Anyway, Jim's a good writer.
Yeah, he is a good writer.
I think he and I paid the same attention to an English composition lady in Lincoln High School.
Who was it?
Alice Coogan was her name, and she made us kind of toe the mark. And it has paid off. Here are almost 100, and I still remember some of the things she told me. So.
Aww, that's pretty cool. She made an impression. Teachers make a big impression on us, and
Yes,
everyone
sir.
started school.
Well, those of us who had teachers like that were indeed very lucky.
Mm-hmm.
I had parents who paid attention to what the heck's going on. I count myself a very lucky man to have parents like that. Some parents, just by virtue of the day-to-day activities, aren't able to give their kids the attention that they need, and that's just sad social commentary. Yeah. Senator Turner, do you get any request for somebody who'd like to have an idea to propose for a law?
Yeah.
Do you really?
Yeah, we've been working a little bit with some of the former employees of Lincoln College. Right now, they cannot go to a school and teach a class even if you have your doctorate or your master's degree, because you don't have all the teacher requirements that you would have had to get your teaching certificate. Mm-hmm. So we're working with the Illinois Education Association and one of our constituents to try and work on some of that, because as you know, we have a teacher shortage in Illinois. And IEA is helping me prepare a bill that will help us meet some of those needs.
And we read that not only is that peculiar to Illinois, but the countrywide, we seem to have a teacher shortage, which is a sad commentary.
Yeah, and we also have a nurse shortage. And then
We
what I
need to
learned,
take the politics out of the teachers' unions. That's a comment that I probably shouldn't make, Loyd.
and then also we learned yesterday when we went to East Moline that they've hired like 1,000 more people to do their production, but they only keep people about a year. Because the new employees that come in are finding out this is factory work. I don't think I like it. It's not a climate controlled situation. Don't think I like this. So they keep people for about a year, then they have to retrain them. So they're looking at, as well as the restaurant industry, are looking at more automation. So, what is that going to do for are we going to have people employed, or are we going to have robots doing a lot of our things? So
Now, there's an important part to think about that. That's man's ingenuity. Come up with these robots who are incredible, but the unfortunate part of it is a robot will take the place of 2 or 3 guys, or ladies, as the case may be. What do you when you walk in your office door in the morning, Senator Turner? Is there one challenge that kind of consumed your thoughts before you left the pool?
when I walk in the office every morning, the first thing I do is sit in the front office. I hardly ever go back to my office and sit unless I'm on
But you're
a Zoom.
available to people.
Well, yeah, and that way I can, whoever walks in the door, I can visit, but mostly it's my staff. So they're the ones, Renee and Cassie do a fantastic job in the front office, navigating the waters. We have a lot of liaisons. State government is huge. I mean, it's huge. You have a liaison for all these different places that you have to work through them to get something done. And I'm finding out more, I guess, that it's so helpful to have a good staff so that they can help people that call in and have a problem, that we can help navigate those waters for them instead of them trying to call the Secretary of State's office directly, or if they're having a great difficulty, that we can help them get a problem resolved.
Yeah, sounds like we actually have a caller on the
There's a call
phone.
right there. Hang on a minute. I'll
I'll
give you the headset, Loyd.
Oh, all right.
1 minute.
Jim is checking to make sure.
Okay, go ahead, caller.
No, he's on the air right now.
No,
I
actually,
was
it's
gonna say, everybody got really excited. A caller.
Forget the air right now.
At least we got to hear the phone ring.
Senator Turner, you represent what I would call, and I mean this not facetiously,
What was your name again?
but so-called the Mayberry kind of country.
Yeah.
That's what, as opposed to a metropolitan area.
Right.
Do you get much call concerned about this gun control business? As a state senator, that's at the lower relation. If you excuse the expression, it's kind of the lower echelon on the hitting post.
Yeah, I don't get a lot of calls on that. But when we're in larger groups, that might be a discussion. If I went to a specific meeting to listen to what people have to say, most of the time those are in like the Morton area. There's a lot of places that you can go and shoot gun. What do you call those? Gun.
Like a shooting range?
Yeah, like shooting ranges in that area. They talk about those things quite a bit up there. But down here, I don't get a lot of people discussing that. I think, frankly, the folks down around here just said, I'll just keep what I got, and I'm not going to talk to anybody about it. So that's kind of, like you said, Mayberry, that's kind of who we are.
Well, in a great sense, I think we're lucky there, as opposed to being in a big metropolitan area.
Yeah, life's different here.
Well, we think differently, and that's okay. The folks in big metropolitan areas, by virtue of their being there, just think differently than we do downstate.
Yeah, it's a whole different world. Absolutely.
Yeah, it is a whole different world, and their problems are different.
Yep.
I can walk down the street in Lincoln and not worry about myself. I'm not sure I'd walk down the street in Chicago at night.
Yeah.
So I think how lucky we are. The matter of mental health. Do you get much pressure from anybody, from any group, to do anything about? How in the world do you do anything about mental health?
Yeah.
You know.
Well, we need more facilities, mental health facilities, and that they're not opening up the way we need them to open up. We have some difficulties with our sheriffs holding prisoners that have mental health issues. I don't know if you saw not too long ago, Sangamon County Sheriff Jack Campbell, he's in our district. He just had a lawsuit against the state and won. His was against DHS to say, come get these mental health people out of my jail because they belong to you now. That's what, and they weren't coming to get him. And so his people were having to take care of them, and which the person that's in the jail needs more help than just the regular Department of Corrections person or the jail person.
Right.
Yeah.
Offering them food. They need more help than that. So Jack just had that lawsuit and won, and so he's hopeful to move his folks out too. Now I know our sheriff here in Logan County, Mark Landers, has the same problem, and so he's working to get some things done, but we just don't have the resources to help individuals that maybe have a mental health problem that are sitting in our jails. They need to be in a facility that we can help them and that they're not harmful to others.
Senator, with the Roe versus Wade verdict that came through, you alluded to that earlier, and the old man forgot where he was when you alluded to that. Is there any action in the legislature to address that version of Roe versus Wade?
No. Illinois has probably the less stringent laws on any of that any state. Maybe compare it to New York, maybe. So there's nothing that's going to change in regard to that. But what we've heard rumored is that what they want to change is that to allow others from other states that do have more restrictions, to allow them to come into Illinois. Now, you probably saw in the news that down by where we butt up against the St. Louis area, those Missourians are coming over to get help from the Edwardsville area and that for abortion services, and that's what we had heard, that maybe some legislation that might be coming down the pike would be, and of course I'm not supportive of that.
All right. So,
Go ahead, sir.
I was going to say, it's just about 9 o'clock. Is there, when does assuming there's no special session, then when would you next be in Springfield?
It's in November. I can't remember what, the third week in November, if I remember correctly. So the election's on the 8th, and then it would be 2 weeks after that, and then...
So are there any pressing issues or particular topics or anything that you're really looking to work on in the upcoming session?
Yeah, for me personally, I really, it's pressing for me to work on that fentanyl legislation.
Well, you almost have to go to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue to start on that, because those are the people who are letting it through.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Senator Sally Turner.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me. And
giving us her time and talent, and we appreciate that, Senator, very much.
Sure.